Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man J. Kevin Johnson
And Leif Taylor.
here, Two Shy Guys and a mic. Yes, yes, I know it's been a while since you've seen us side by side together. So the power the energy that's been generated now is just unbelievable. It's exponential up in here, y'all. So we want y'all to resonate with us today as we just have a small, lively, short discussion about relationships and engineering. Being adamant about engineering and building and architecting moments of magic in your life with respect to your significant other, with respect to your family, your friends and community. This is something that we often touch on from various points, but just from what we can see in our personal lives and what we can see from a high cultural viewpoint, this is something that we have to stay on top of as far as our discussion. And it's just something that's of interest to us. And we know that it's of interest to you that we see whenever we interact with you ladies, you guys out there, and it's just a topic that's really close to our hearts. I think it is, and just from looking at the comments and stuff, I know it's close to you all's hearts, always on your mind, and I see that a lot of actions that you all take is in that direction of making sure that you keep your relationships nice, strong in today's world, and that you keep those things that's helping you all stay strong communally intact too. You know, it's a short life, and we want to make sure that we spend it with people that we love and that uh, those that love us. Right? Ain't
Yeah,
that right?
always, always. You got to because again that's really what life is all about is sharing moments with family, friends, people you love, and just other people in general. So I mean that is the essence of what life is truly. So
Yeah. And today is Friday, so we try to keep things light and fun on Fridays. We can often say that Fridays are for fun and family. So that's why today we're going to be focusing on moments of magic and engineering in those moments of adventure that will help us stay having fun with family. If you can't have fun with your family, life is just miserable. uh, if you can't laugh with your family and friends, I mean, what's the whole point? As we often say, because people are the essence of life. You know, no man or woman is an island, so you have to. We have to be adamant about making sure that we have fun with those that we're closest to and that's closest to us. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself being like what's that Ted Kaczynski, the bomber guy,
Unabomber.
Unabomber,
Yeah.
and we just had a recent stint with another kind of copycat kind of person who recently blew himself up, didn't he?
Yeah.
So we don't want these things to happen. So this is why we kind of talk about these things off and on, and this is off the heels of a talk or a discussion we had recently talking about relationships and how important it is to make sure that you spend time with your significant other and family and other family members, and that you properly plan. And a few points has kind of gotten me on this, staying on this trail, is that I've been kind of scrolling through, and I've been noticing uh, an uptick as far as like with addiction and depression, and things like that. And when you're not connected, when you're not having fun with family and friends, it leaves you wide open to the sway of the culture. And the sway of the culture is in a direction that is designed to have us addicted, which leads to many times states of depression. And we see upticks when it comes to dysfunction in family, and we see upticks when it comes to people that are depressed, and it and we see upticks when I'm noticing with especially with suicide and things like this. And when you're not connected and having fun, you leave yourself open to a lot of these cultural sways. So there's a lot of goodness out there. So we like to stay honed in, resonated, and focused on the goodness that is out there. We like to do our part to make sure that we're a portal that is constantly propagating these types of messages um, that are designed to help place a pebble in your shoe as you scroll along the Facebooks and other social medias to help motivate, encourage, and inspire you on your way. So some things has kind of gotten me thinking along this line is that I was just thinking about first and foremost, I was thinking about my son and that yesterday we had a conversation about being on social media.
Okay.
Now the rule was that there was no social media in the house unless we have a discussion about it.
Right.
But given the nature of reality and given the nature of my circumstance, that has not been the case. So by way of events, we had to have a discussion about some things. And, I said, okay, yeah, you can get on this, that, and the other, but this is these are the rules. I have to have your passwords. If you change them, I need to know when you change them. I friended him so I can keep track of what's going on there. We're gonna have us talk about secret locks and all this kind of stuff. See if any of that's going on.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to quash it, but just by way of events, it ain't happening. So I have to go the other way as far as being a mentor and a guide and keeping communication open when it comes to being on social media and engineering the culture of the house in a manner that we can be open about what's going on with respect to social media, because it's apparent to me that in my home we're gonna have to go the other way. And I'm gonna have to be a guide, and I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm there and available and open. So with that, just looking at social media and internet usage, I'm now going about thinking about ways, yeah, that's me, of making sure I stand on top of that.
So it's definitely interesting. I know, like my children's friends, a lot of them have social media accounts and those kinds of things. So, but we don't run into those issues as of right now. So our kids, they do have their own phones. Just because you get a family plan, everybody get a phone. It's like Oprah, right? You get a phone, and you get a phone.
Exactly.
But we definitely monitor everything they do, and so we know they don't have any social media accounts. Any YouTube they watch is from my wife's account, so we definitely keep track of everything that they do. So, but I understand what Kevin is talking about.
Yeah, so we have to be on top of that and be adamant about it, and that's what I'm having to do lately. And it's just like I said, it's gotten me on the thread of number one, making sure that I'm adamant, that we're adamant about engineering moments of magic so that the sway of the culture with respect to a lot of things, specifically the phones, does not take over the house. So just for example, one simple tactic that I've implemented in the house to kind of keep things at bay, as far as like engineering moments of magic that will help keep things strong and keep communication lines open, is that like for us in our house, on Friday nights, I shut everything down. I try to shut everything down and make the house engineer the house where the vibe is, where you can just come in, make it peaceful, you can relax. I always put on like some good inspirational music in the background that's always flowing, and I try to keep the TV off and just kind of make everybody disconnect. And what ends up happening is that what ends up happening lately is that my sons, they end up playing and talking with each other, which is what has to happen. And I know it doesn't happen as often as I would like in other moments, just because of the sway of the culture, the tablets, the phones, stuff like this gets in the way. And so, like for Fridays, sundown to Saturday sundown, I try to engineer and be adamant about shutting these things down so that moments of magic can happen to where people are smiling and laughing and talking, at least being civilized with one another. That, that's a moment of magic for me. I don't know about you, but for me, that's a moment of magic where people are being civilized, talking, conversating, and just being with each other and learning how to talk and interact. This is something I'm noticing more and more with respect to being out and the culture. So when I came up with the title of Moments of Magic, I was thinking about, staycations and vacations and stuff like that as well. But I wanted to make sure that we start at a small granular point of just something simple as just cutting off and looking at each other.
Yeah,
That's something that's simple.
unplugging is definitely
Unplugging.
a necessary thing. I know, especially it's especially hard for me, right? I work in tech. Everything I do is on the computer. Probably the majority of my day is spent on the computer. Uh, and lately, with all the work we have going on with the cooperative, with the group, I've gotten back into work mode. I know my wife tries to give me stops at times. Saturday is typically the day for me where I just try to get away from it as much as possible, although not entirely. But I try to get away from it as much as possible to spend FaceTime with my children. Last night was when I got home. I just was talking with my kid. I was watching the game, but they were talking to me, and I was like, "Hold on, baby." Then I was like, then I realized I was like, you know what she has to say is more important in this game. So I was like, "Go ahead, tell me your story." I try to do like little projects. Me and my kids, we have a side project that I'm trying to get them to get back into, revamp. I don't know if they told my wife yet, but anyway, it's a little side project because at first I was doing it, and then I was like, you know what, this is a way for you to learn. You do it. You come up with all the storyboards, the structure, the whole nine. So that way I can engage them and teach them how to use the devices that we have around us, how to use cameras and those kinds of things, and just get them more engaged in utilizing their creativity. So I was like, you know what, I can use this time as a time for us to bond on something that they're interested in, but I can kind of supervise without really having the project be mine. So that's something that I'm doing, and even just travel time together. Smile. This is for my wife. So travel time together. Just being able just to take time out, just for us to go places as a unit. So that way we can kill two birds with one stone. We can get out and do the social thing that we have to do in order to keep things rolling in terms of community, but it also helps us bond, and it exposes our kids to a variety of different things.
Yeah. And, today we're talking about engineering moments of magic. Question to you all: what are some things that you all are doing to engineer moments of magic in your life to help keep the bond strengthened between you and your spouse, your significant other, and engineering the chords and the lines between you and everybody else in your life? So just what is that question to you all? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Hey Mona, how you doing?
Just real quickly, going back to why this topic is adamant and poignant in today's time, is that another point, like I talked about my son specifically. Another point is that a while back I listened to a podcast show, the Model Health Show by Sean Stevenson. I listened to his show because he touches on some topics that are health oriented and mind oriented, emotions. He deals with just about everything in life. And he had a Dr. Lustig on who specializes in neuroendocrinology. Yeah. So he deals with the mind hormone or hormone connection, and how what you think and the things that you allow to your mind to dwell on and focus on, how it affects the endocrine system. And the endocrine system is where hormones are produced, and hormones are the messengers of your body, the chemicals in your body that sends the messages to various regions of your body. It affects your heart, and when you affect the heart affects the mind, and when you affect the mind, you affect behavior, actions, things that are carried out. So when he was on and he was talking about just specifically the why addiction and depression are connected, how the American mind is being hacked, and if we don't make it a high priority to make sure that we engineer our environment, our home life, our relationships for success, whatever we determine that to be, then we're gonna be open to the sway of the culture, and the sway of the culture is designed for us to be dependent. It's designed for us to always be looking outside for answers and solutions,
Right.
and it's designed for us to always be spending money, pretty much.
Yeah, that's economics.
That's economics. So we as a people, we as a community, have to guard and engineer just about every. It's funny you said economics, is I was going to talk about. You know, I'll go ahead and go into it. Some ways in which you could take the reins is, by looking at your home educational system, your finances, economics, and then your free time and your career and your health. Constance.
Go ahead. Yes, Constance says, my kids are spread out, not much time as a fam. So I requested a family dinner where we all get together Tuesday night to reconnect. 3 kids, 1 grand. Man, yeah, that's definitely magic.
Yes,
that's perfect. Because a lot of people, especially as your kids age, they tend to go out, and you have to. It doesn't just happen on its own. Right?
Nope, it does not.
You have to schedule it. If it's not scheduled, then you get busy, and then life just keeps flowing, and then you realize you've disconnected with a lot of people in your family. I know I'm guilty of it, especially doing a startup. Man, probably for a span of 1 to 2 years, I barely talked to anybody in my family just because I was always so focused on trying to do what's in front of me, those kinds of things. So 37, 30, yeah, in 3, yeah. So you have to schedule that. I know I have to schedule time for my mother because again, I'm typically at the office. I'm at the office now. I'm at the office last night when we went live. Just typically at the office. Period.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that I schedule those things, especially with my wife and my kids, and we have other families. So it becomes something that you have to be purposeful about, and you have to realize the importance of doing so.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, work seems like as if it's more important than family, but in reality, it's not. It's a means to an end, so to speak. She's at 27, not 37. It's a means to an end. In other words, it's like I know why I work. I work now so I can spend more time with my family later.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't want to neglect the now either, if that makes any sense. So I try to squeeze times in there where I can do, kill the 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. That's why I like working at home in the home office. My kids can come in and out. They give me hugs on occasion. I love it. And again, we got to realize that family, friends, those kinds of things are vitally important. So don't neglect them. I know I'm really bad at it because I like to be a homebody and those kinds of things. So I'm saying this live. So again, hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
I told my wife I would try to work on that.
Yeah.
Be more active on the weekends. Just get out and see some of my friends. Those kinds of things, because I spend too much time doing this kind of stuff.
Well, of course, we're all always a work in progress, but the fact that this is even in the forefront of your thoughts and other people's thoughts is really, it's really like 51% of the game. Like I said, Dr. Lustig, he was pointing out, he wrote a book, The Hacking of the American Mind. Just believe it or not, a lot of people don't even have this in the forefront of their thoughts. And like I said, the hacking of the American mind, when it's not even in your thoughts, I run across people, I see people on a daily basis where you can just tell just by the family life, their spousal, their spouses, their significant other. It's just adamant. It's just apparent where their mind is and where their heart is. You can always tell somebody. You can actions speak louder than words, right? Behavior
always.
Behavior is the printout of what you actually are convicted about and what you actually believe and what you stand resolute about. Even though that you were always in a constant state of learning, growing, and executing. Behavior is the ultimate printout of where you are on an actual stand on a few things. So we're always all work in progresses. Constance says we are too techno for our brains, especially my age group. Yeah, we've been skewed to the techno, which is why it's always of importance that we are adamant and talk about the non-techno, the non-tech world, and really stay rooted and grounded in the soft part of life and not the techno hard part of life, I guess you could say. And I was just gonna say, going back to what Leif was saying, you was talking about how how your work life integration is of a nature to where, like you said, if they want to stop by the office, that's available. Most people don't. There are many people who don't have that availability. It's like from such and such time, I am off the face of the earth. You know, I am not available. And we live in a time now to where if you want to, if you figure out that way, like you said yesterday, to be creative and still hold down your responsibilities and your obligations, but you figure out a way to be creative, to have that work life integration. That was something I heard Ani out of Huffington talk about at the Huffington Post when she was on the Gary V show, the Gary Vaynerchuk show. And that was kind of interesting in of itself if you know anything about those two personalities that I just named. So many of you out there, uh, be creative and figure out how to have that integration. I know in the past, I was able to integrate that when I used to run like a little a route, business B2B route. And on my route, I can say it now, but I couldn't say it at the time. There were every day I was eating lunch with my children, and I was interacting with them. Had moments of where I could interact with them throughout the day, just because I had my own B2B route. And I could take naps and pull over to the side and roll out a little carpet in the back. Man, you would go stop here and there and take a little lunch. I can say that now, but at the time I couldn't say what was going on. But figure out a way to be creative. Constance said, I was just in Australia, not as much advertising and stuff in your face. Sell, sell, sell. They work to live more. We live to work. So important to do that in other countries as other countries do. Yeah, this is something that in the Western world, America specifically, if you know anything about the development and the history and the agenda that was set for America and why it is that we are the way we are, is that it was engineered for us to be the economic engine of the world so that we could drive and the economics of the world and take the economics of the world by the reins and do what we do. So this is why our culture specifically is designed the way it is, and why we have to have talks and discussions about this often. Yeah, in other countries, it's the other way. They figured out, and they're more designed for work life integration. So just here in our world, yeah, it is sell, 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 buy, 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 which is why, which is why we have to be adamant about and purposeful and intentional about designing moments of magic, and then also being adamant about finances when it comes to finding a partner, work a spouse or a significant other. Now, I often hear it quipped that we live in a world, specifically with respect to finances, that it's so bad and tough out there. Both people have to work, even if one person does not want to. And, going back to the discussion we had yesterday about planning before you get into a relationship, say, hey, what do you think about this? What are your feelings about this? What do you want? And being adamant about that, designing your life, designing your relationships the way you want it, and having those communication lines open. For example, I try to when I get involved with people, I try to do it now to engineer my life to where if I have if one person does not want to work, then we want to make that option available. If there is a surprise loss of dual income, you want to make it to where it really doesn't have a hard impact on your life. It may impact your life some, but you want to set yourself up in a way to where it really doesn't impact your life that much. And this is something I'm seeing with younger children, with younger generation, when they get involved and they get married. One of the things I wish I could just drive into younger couples is be purposeful about designing your life so that the option of one income is always available.
Yeah, I know for our household that is actually what we did. We thought about this earlier when my wife and I got married. We were both working, and then once we had children, when she got pregnant, then it was like, okay, our plan was we had children that she would just basically retire momentarily, so to speak. And plus, if anybody knows me and knows anything about myself and Lamar, we're always about create your own, build your own, all of that kind of stuff. We know it's hard. We know it's very difficult to get started, but that's the kinds of things that we push because, again, talking about the freedoms that you have, the freedoms that are allotted around that kind of thing, the fact that our families can come in and out of our office at any time, the fact that we can work from home at any given time, the freedoms that are allotted are worth the struggles and the hard work. So definitely planning for that, planning ahead. It's a difficult decision because, of course, two incomes are awesome.
And it's a difficult decision because most people are going to look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, two incomes are definitely awesome. However, we looked at it for us personally. We was like, okay, we valued what we wanted to instill in our children more so than we valued certain financial gains from us working, and then even sometimes averaging that out and balancing that out is like, you know what, this is a better option anyway. And that's why it's good to understand your finances up front. It's good to understand the kinds of things that you can and can't do. Know your limitations. Start with the basis of truth. Know your limitations, but use those limitations as a way to get creative. Don't use those limitations as a way to get down on yourself, the way to get frustrated, a way to not go out and do the kinds of things you want. That's where creativity starts, right?
Yeah.
You got to get real creative. You got to figure things out. There is no cookie cutter model. We in America, everything's framed and packaged and sold. So it's like, oh, if you do this and you do this, then this is the end result. That's not always true because there's so many variables in life. There's loss of life. There's accidents. There's all of these different kinds of things that aren't the same for everybody. Even in the same household, it's like there are different lives that can be had. But anyway, as he said, plan ahead, think about these things, and figure out what you're willing to sacrifice. Because a lot of these things take a sacrifice.
It's gonna take a sacrifice.
Yeah, so you have to figure out what those sacrifices are going to be, figure out how you're going to implement those things, and just work at it. Because it's just guesswork. It's a hypothesis and a theory until you start doing the work to see if it actually works.
And that's a moment of magic in that it's okay to be curious and have fun and try stuff out.
Yeah.
And this is a superpower today in that most people don't have the courage to just be curious and try something. If you fail, oh well. That's just the way it goes.
Just keep it moving. As long as you're alive, you still have opportunity. I remember, I always talk about this. I talk about openly. I remember when they were having layoffs. Like, I used to work at a company called YKK back in 2008. Man, it's crazy to realize how long ago that was. And during the 2008 crash, manufacturing just took a tremendous hit. And so they were starting to do layoffs. And I was like, okay, I'm the only designer in this whole company, and they're laying off salespeople. So my time is soon to come. If you laying off people that bring in revenue, then, then nobody's job is safe, right? And then I remember having that discussion with my wife, and it was just like, okay, this is guaranteed to happen. I don't know when, but I know it's going to happen. And then the moment of clarity was just like, at the very least, we still have each other. No matter what happens, I don't care if we lose everything, all material goods, house, whatever. If we lose it all, then we still have each other, and that's good enough for me. What's going on, Big Marzipan?
They're doing it early today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So just the fact that of knowing that it's like, okay, we've gotten here before, you know, hey, like Ty Tribbett, if we did it before, he can do it again, right? Same God right now. So that's the way I looked at it, right? And so and the rest is actually history, because had that not happened, then I wouldn't be here working with my man Lamar and those kinds of things. So everything works out if you're just willing to put in the effort, if you're just willing to get over the fears of it, and just embrace it. Just embrace it, because yeah, it sucks getting started, because you got to build momentum, you got to build clientele, you got to do a whole lot of different things to get the stuff built up. But once it happens, it just works itself out if you're willing to put in the work. See, Constance said, from the crypto movement, I have stopped buying. I now invest. My house is too full of stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely with the house too full of stuff idea. Again, I'm a minimalist. Clutter just drives my mind crazy. Just because I like to switch back and forth between different things, and just seeing clutter just distracts me. So I definitely get that.
And just a way to kind of just riffing on what she just said is that she said she's in the crypto movement and stopped buying stuff. If you notice you got a house full of stuff, one of the things you can do is get on Let It Go. What's that? Let's Go, and get on Craigslist, get on Facebook Marketplace, and start selling some of that stuff off and generate generating some revenue that will help you create more moments of magic, right? Just talking about, because we were talking about finances and being adamant and being intentional about designing your life so that you can engineer in more moments of curiosity and magic when it comes to family and friends, and when it comes to your significant other. If you got an extra cushion somewhere off to the side, it's easy to take, be like, baby, we're going to take this little staycation, and we're going to kick the kids out over at grandma, grandpa's house, and we're just going to do it up. So these are ways, simple tactics and strategies that you can come up with when you can design moments of magic. What you say?
Trust that is happening. So she's
okay. She's already on it. She's ahead of the game. All right. I think that's all I got, man.
Kevin and his hard stop.
Yeah, I know. My bad.
Yeah, but it's good because I gotta wrap up. We got some things to do, and I gotta dip momentarily so I can get back to the O. Anyway, we thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's a weird, awkward time. Most people are at work. So whenever you see this, we appreciate you for tuning in. We hope that we said something that'll add some delight to your day, give you some good information that you can apply. If we said something that you didn't like, then just toss it out.
Say it's Kevin's fault. That's usually what happens.
I blame Kevin for everything. So anyway, we appreciate you for tuning in. Kevin, sign us out.
Thanks for joining in. Two Shot Guys at the mic. This your man, J. Kevin Johnson. My man,
Lake Taylor.
Just here helping to inspire, motivate, help you level up and have a little fun while doing it. Hopefully we've we gave you some kind of return on investment of your time and attention that was traded with us today. We are attention traders, I guess you could say. We always want to make sure that whatever you invest with us is given back to you 100-fold. So thanks for joining us. Love you. Love, peace, and happiness, and all the good stuff. Signing off.